I was thinking that you had told me earlier there's something super special about this podcast. Other than I'm back on it.
That does make it super special.
It makes it really special.
Welcome to Shoot the Breeze, a podcast that celebrates the messiness of life, relationships, and Christianity, featuring my wife Lacey and myself, Nathan. It's creatively titled because it will be just us shooting the breeze, sometimes with guests, while occasionally saying something important. We hope you enjoy.
What have you had, like 300 interviews without me?
I have. I've interviewed quite a number of people.
We were having such a season of every time we would get ready to record, some kind of tragedy or event would happen where I couldn't come record. If you remember a while back, we had to rush Liddy to the emergency room, which she's doing good. It turned out to just be a complicated migraine, but things like that would happen. I can't remember what happened the next week. Like the sound equipment wouldn't work for hours and so on and so forth. But so here I am, and you had told me you specifically wanted me for this episode because I
think this is our 50th.
Our 50th.
If I did
if you did the math right.
It didn't even require math. It was just literally counting.
I mean, counting's technically math.
I used all of my fingers and toes multiple times.
Okay. That joke. I mean, it's still funny and 17 years later.
That's right. Wow. Okay, hold on. There's multiple things happening. First of all, this is our 50th episode. Mm-hmm. Last one of the year, by the way.
Okay.
I'm very excited about that, taking a break. Also, we celebrated our 17th anniversary.
Last month, yes.
And I'm currently celebrating my 28th birthday.
28, really? That's what you're going with?
38.
Nice.
Did I say 28?
You totally did. Oh. Well, I think that brings up our subject I kind of want to talk about.
How does that bring up our subject?
It does. Not your inability to remember how old you are, but kind of how old we are.
Yeah, we are old.
We're older. Yeah. We're not old. We are adults. We're like not just new adults or finding our feet adults. Like, we're considered adults.
So,
pretty firm adults.
I've been interviewing Kalena.
Yes.
And the running, that's like one of the things we keep bringing up is how young she is.
Yeah, she was in our she was at the church we were working at years ago. She was like a little kid in the elementary school.
No, I know, but it's just like
I think she was 8 when we met her.
Yeah, things that we're like, I'm like, oh yeah, how about this? And she's like, I don't know.
I want to talk about that because we are what you would consider, and I fought against this generational label for a while, but we are what you would consider older millennials. Nope. based on where you put the cutoff. So some put it at like 79, some put them at 80 or 82, but we're white. Nathan's year he was born was 83, mm-hmm. and then I was born in 82. So we are technically older millennials. We are not considered we're not considered Xers.
Why? I thought we were.
No, because they were older teens in the like Nirvana period. That's how I classify that whole Gen X thing. Yeah.
Okay, I guess I didn't. Yeah, I thought we were Generation X.
No, that would be more.
That's when you were teens during that time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess I would have never thought of that.
Yeah, I mean, we're on the edge there. I mean, people fight with it. Mostly people that, like me, that don't want that millennial term, but we are considered older millennials. But what I want to say with that is there's something really interesting that we all kind of like to talk about, commiserate over, is that we're like the generation that had really a childhood without technology. Most of us, unless you were pretty well off. Like those days, you didn't have tech unless you were pretty well off. I mean, my neighbor had a trampoline, and we considered that like tech from the future. You know what I mean? see, I'm not even being funny here. But I remember I was in high school. I was in ninth grade, and my mom was still having me use, and we were behind. We were behind even your average Joe here, but my mom was still having me use a typewriter with whiteout to do my reports on.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have to do that?
So I remember, I think I was playing with my mom's typewriter. It was a mechanical one, though.
But you didn't have to use
an electric one, I mean.
You didn't have to use it, like, for reals.
I mean, I'll be honest, like, the computer came around right around the time I started to do,
okay, so
written reports.
You're
Mine
about
were
2
all
years younger than
me.
So,
mine were all handwritten.
Remind me, I mean, to remind you, I'm 2 years older than you. And then our families probably were a little bit behind the curve with the technology.
Oh, yeah.
Just with our economic situations.
Situation.
So anyway, I remember doing reports on this typewriter that had used whiteout on. And I was over the moon excited when my mom bought me a word processor. Do you remember those? Mm-hmm. So
I didn't have one.
Okay, so what a word processor would do is it was basically a typewriter, but before it typed out the text, it had a line. I don't know how many characters, probably like 144, like Twitter. Like it's just a line of text that you could type into a screen.
Twitter's at 280 now.
Oh wow, I'm not on Twitter, but you could type it onto the screen, and then you make any corrections. Like you could add your period, you could capitalize. So if you noticed it, so then you wouldn't have to like take it out of the typewriter or move up the thing and then put the white out and then retype it on. I mean, it was an ordeal. But you could correct it as you were typing it, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And I had that word processor for a few years until we even got our computer, our very first computer, which I think had Windows 98. Was it 98? Because that was
like
the
your
first
family?
big one. Yeah. That was the 98. First big like operating system that everybody loved. Well, actually, I take that back. We were given this old computer that had the the square screen that was like a suitcase. It was like really long and really short. I mean, maybe 6 inches high, and it was probably like 2 feet. Like,
was it the first Apple one?
No, it was not an Apple. Are you kidding me? No.
No, that's what I couldn't.
No, it
I know
ran
when you're talking
DOS because
about.
we had to type in the DOS code because it didn't have an operating system at that time.
Right.
That was before. So that was an older computer, but somebody given for us to play on. It had floppy disks.
I remember that.
Yeah. Okay. So then we got this real high-tech one that had Windows 98, and it was just incredible because it had Word, right? So now it wasn't just like one line of text I could correct. It was the entire report, right? And so this was just revolutionary.
Right.
But the main problem with this, and you older millennials, you will definitely be able to resonate with this, is that you had to often hit Control S. Like, you had to do it so much because you could, in one swoop, lose everything. Like, hours and hours of work, right? Like, did you ever lose a paper that way?
No, because...
You never did?
No, because I got into... even nowadays, though, babe,
no,
think about
I do it... No, even on internet programs like Google Docs, where it saves it automatically, or even now our Word saves it automatically, I still do Control S constantly.
Yeah.
Control S.
Like you'll be typing
like a psycho.
Right. You'll type a sentence and be like
Control S. Yeah.
Control S.
But that was born in me because I lost so many things. And the thing about me is I was such a bad procrastinator. So bad. So it wouldn't be like where, oh yeah, I have plenty of time to rewrite this paper. It'd be like in the middle of the night, the morning before it was due, or like we were doing, we also would do these, I was homeschooled, right? But I took classes outside of the house, so I did have things that were due. But also like my mom would be, I remember very specifically, my mom was throwing this big, I don't know, showcase, I guess, for friends and family for them to come over and see our stuff for the year. And I was supposed to have this report done. And I think they were like an hour out, and I still didn't have my report done, and I lost it all.
Oh my word!
Yeah, showcase. Here's my very educated daughter.
I got nothing.
And here's her report. Yeah.
Wow.
So, anyway,
I'm like trying to hurry up as you're telling your story. I'm trying to hurry up and read the article you sent
don't
me.
read the article. It's okay.
Oh,
We'll just
okay.
talk about that. I'd rather you focus on me because then I'm just talking to myself. Yeah, the other thing that I thought was so funny, because I was thinking about old tech in our growing up years, like just kind of realizing, we started with, I mean, tech is older than us. Like, people had computers, obviously, before that time, but I think it's when that was really popular. I can't talk today.
Popularized?
Yes. Into the general public, like
right.
where it became really accessible at
right.
that time. And so, you had a family computer, and you were used to different things. Like, you were used to dial up, you were used to just waiting, you were used to, I remember going through the entire process of like shutting everything down very methodically because you were terrified of like,
yep.
I remember someone had warned us that we would like break her computer if it wasn't shut down properly. Yeah. So still to this day, it's like, don't shut down. But anyway, so we grew up in this era where we're learning how, normal consumers are just letting tech become part of their normal lives. And even when cell phones first came out, my mom was the first one to have a cell phone. My dad bought it for her. It was like one of those Nokias, the unbreakable Nokias. But to get to the functions, it was a maze. To get to, do you remember going through all the functions to get to all the things? And one of the main things that was important to find was silent, like turning your phone on silent. It wasn't simple.
No, there wasn't like a quick button.
Yeah, so I would think I was like 17, and she made me take her phone to this. I was in Michigan, so I was going to Detroit, which is always scary for parents, but to see this Christmas play, and it was in this auditorium, and she sent me with her phone, and I had no idea how to turn it off. And then her or somebody else proceeded to call me all throughout the play.
Oh my goodness!
But I didn't know how to turn it off, and I didn't want to draw attention to myself that it was my phone, so I just kind of like kept pretending like I didn't hear it.
It's you. It's people like you. As I'm teaching, I'm like, hey.
No, it's unfair.
No, it's not unfair. It's turn it off.
This was 21 years ago. This was a while ago.
That would have been the first feature I found.
Maybe even longer than that.
But
I mean, I wasn't, you are giving yourself so much credit as someone who has spent the last, 25 years messing around with tech. Like, when you've never used a phone and someone hands it to you and says, here, take this, you're like, okay. Like, you're not playing on your mom's phone back then. Like, there wasn't games, there wasn't, you just kind of take it because your mother wants to get a hold of you, and you don't know how it works because it wasn't mine at the time.
Right.
And I think some people are going to relate to that. Some people, like I had somebody who wasn't that much younger than me, maybe 5 or 6 years, talk about, well, didn't you have like a phone in high school? And I'm like, no, there is a vast difference of just a few years there of like being comfortable on technology.
So a great example of this, you're 2 years older than me. And I remember, I think it was
almost 2.
9, 10-ish. Let's see. When I was in 9th or 10th grade, I had a cell phone. Now, it was one of those like track phones, like really simple. I actually had a pager in junior high.
Yeah, just because of your hospital stuff.
But yeah, no, I did have a phone, but it was, like I said, one of those track phones where you could only use like 30 minutes a month or something like that. So it was only for emergencies, but even the difference between like, you and me during that.
Yeah. Well, and I'm guessing you probably had the pager in case you needed like medical.
The pager was so I would get, I would get picked up to do mid-afternoon therapies, and so a medical van would have to come, and so they would page me. Yeah.
Do you remember those phones where they, what were they called? The ones that had the walkie-talkie feature? They were the most annoying. Nextels. Oh, do you remember all these people having Nextels and thinking like it was no big deal to be like just out in public letting these loud walkie-talkie sounds happen all the time?
You know what's funny though is
Did you have a Nextel?
No, we had a friend who did, John, He had a Nextel. But all my construction friends are like, man, I wish I could have a phone like that again.
They're terrible.
No,
I
fine,
hate
but
them.
like all my construction friends are
I don't
like,
care. I don't
yeah.
have construction friends. I mean, I'm sure if you know me and you're in construction, don't take that personally. But I mean, I don't care. They're so annoying. It's kind of like those people that walk around with their phone on speaker, just talking like
No,
it's nothing.
you know what's worse than that? I'll take that any day over someone walking by you going, "Hey, what's up?" And then you quick turn around like, "Oh, hey," and they're like, "Oh."
Oh, like
they have
with
a
the
Bluetooth.
invisible Bluetooth.
Oh, those are
Well, I think we've all kind
dumb.
of like had enough embarrassing moments personally that we figured that out. I hate it when you're just like enjoying some time by yourself and someone's next to you just yucking it up on speaker with somebody, and it's just really it's annoying. To me.
That doesn't bother me.
Oh,
as
it
much.
reminds me of the Nextel so much.
Okay.
So much. But anyway, so so these technological experiences, I want that is our subject for today.
Technology?
Is kind of, I guess more than technology, it is access. Like access to information and people. And well, I mean, we kind of know it's overwhelming us, but in what ways is it overwhelming us? Is it positive? Is it negative? Or
Negative.
how are we personally responding to it?
Spoiler alert. Negative.
Okay, but but basically information overload.
Yeah.
So I have a question. I have some questions for you.
Yes.
Okay. So what are the reasons besides work? So this is not to do with anything that you have to get done.
Okay.
For Cultivate. What are the reasons you go online?
Oh man. So one specific reason is if I go to the gym, I wait to go to the gym for a specific show that I watch. And so honestly,
But for it to be down like a new episode?
no,
'Cause everything's
it's giving
streaming.
me I know, but it gives me I can only watch it when I go.
But you said
it
I
helps.
wait to go to the gym. That doesn't make sense.
Oh, I mean, I wait to watch it for when I
I
go to the
see.
gym. Yeah, sorry. Honestly, that's it. I would say
okay.
like watching shows.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
also watches shows at home.
Yeah.
Don't act like he only watches it.
Yeah, no, but that would be literally the only.
Liar.
No, I know. I just admitted I did.
Calling you out.
No, I just admitted I
I
did.
live with you.
That and I haven't been to the gym in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, no,
Okay, so
I would.
that's the only reason you go online.
Man, I'll be honest. I mean, outside of the, I want to know that piece of information, like real
But yeah,
quick.
like what kind of information? Well, that's what
Random
I'm talking about.
Stupid random.
So you go
things.
online for shows and you go online to look up random facts.
That would literally be it. I mean, I honestly, unless you have seen me do something else, because you said outside of work, and so.
Okay, so you also you like watching like YouTube channels. Don't lie about it.
No, I do.
Okay.
No,
You look
the
all
reason.
confused.
No, the reason is over the last, I would say, 2 months. Even that I've tapered, because I've gone over to like watching stuff on Rumble, and they don't have as much of a.
But I didn't say YouTube. I said streaming shows. I was very specific. As not to waste your time.
No, but no. That's what I'm saying. Is even YouTube I've tapered not. So I'm not on that one as much. Like I said, it's pure shows.
You're so
on Amazon
reactionary
Prime.
because I did not. I know you have an issue with YouTube, but I did not say YouTube. I said watching streaming shows.
Yeah, okay, streaming shows. What are you getting at?
I felt like you were being unfair in saying, well, no, I don't watch streaming shows, but I watch Rumble.
No, 100% I watch streaming shows.
Oh, okay. I'm almost done with you on this question.
Thank you.
Okay, here are my answers. You want to know my answers?
Sure.
Okay.
But hold on. You're a researcher, so you're online all the time.
I'm on, like I really love being online. Okay, so the random fact thing it's really a problem. Like I love having the access to look up everything. Like, what does this profession make? in general, like what's their salary? What do they do? Like how is glass made? Like random stuff. I love looking up all the time.
Nobody cares.
Oh my gosh, it's so fun. That's what.
Nobody but you cares about that.
There's so many people that do that stuff. Okay. Okay. So here's the reasons I get bored sometimes. When you're just bored and you have like, I don't know, 5 minutes, you can't get anything productive done. And so then you just spend 20 minutes like just doing stuff online.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good reason, but that is a reason. I'm being completely honest.
I was completely honest.
No, you were being very, what's the right word? You had an agenda behind your answers.
No, I didn't. I genuinely didn't. No, don't look at me like that.
Okay. Or another reason is because I want to be distracted, because I'm procrastinating something.
Yeah.
I do that. That's real bad. You noticed how earlier I talked about me procrastinating as a kid and still not completely taken care of.
At all?
And here's another reason I've been thinking about. I want low commitment interaction. Like I want to interact with people, but not really. Like, do you know what I mean by that? Like, you wanna feel like you're engaged with someone without any commitment. It's the weirdest thing.
Isn't that like what social media would be?
Yeah, 100%. So you can listen to people, like about people's days or watch their stories, but you're not actually having a conversation with them. So you don't have to think about it. Anyway, I was actually wondering, like, I was thinking through that, like, why is it that it's so attractive to me? That's one of the reasons. One of them is you want your voice heard or valued, which I don't do this anymore, but just putting things online, social media, like putting a thought or a funny joke. I love putting funny jokes or things that kids have said online.
I was going to say, you and I really enjoy doing that. I'm more visual, so you'll do more like written content, and I like posting pictures.
Yeah, lately, I mean, I don't really do social media anymore, but I've been interacting with my family has a Facebook group because they all live far away from me, and it's just been kind of fun to troll them lately because we've been having really good weather and they've been having just blizzards. So it's stuff like that, right? Like you wanna interact, you want your voice to be heard, you want to pipe into the conversation. That can be also, I mean, we've all known people that have piped in where we've not wanted to hear them, but okay. Tired. I notice when I'm tired, I love to get online. What is that?
So that's when I check my news.
Yeah. News. I'm a bad news addict.
That's the other thing I do.
Yeah, I've been trying to get that under control. I actually deleted my news app, but you can't actually delete it. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
But you still can't. Like, I have it turned off, so I don't have access to it.
Yeah, I should do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so tired. When I get tired, I'll just I'll go to bed, and then I'll just play around on like looking stuff up or whatever. Shopping and reviews, that's a huge one.
Oh, see, I don't.
Well, you don't have to do any of the family purchasing.
Oh, you mean like grocery shopping, not like special?
No, I don't buy groceries, but I don't buy groceries online, but if like, okay, we need a new, let's just say a mount for the television for the wall, right? Like and this is part of my research thing. Oh, that's cute.
It hurts.
Like I'll go online and I'll research what is the best one and what's the best cost. People do that. That's really normal.
No, that I get. Yeah.
Okay. But that's a reason to go online.
Right. I don't look at. I look at what looks cool, and has good like stars. I don't actually read reviews.
Okay, so there is a reason why I do most of the purchasing.
Oh, I don't disagree.
Nathan doesn't really put much into it. Okay. Nope. Oh, and then to sell things. I love selling things online.
Oh my goodness. Okay, right now, if any of you are looking for 2 short wicker chairs,
you're totally not even describing them.
Please.
They are Scandinavian, mid-century modern,
wicker.
woven. They're not wicker. They are not wicker. Do not listen to him.
Really?
They have like a jute woven seat in them. They are not wicker.
Thick blades of grass.
Oh my gosh.
Wrapped around sticks.
Anyway, I enjoy selling things online. So that's another reason to go online.
My workshop is the casualty of her online selling. Because I have so many things in there.
Okay, so do you ever get distracted when you're, okay, so I find this to be, you're going to act like you've never done it before, but you pick up your phone to check the time and then you end up on Facebook for 20 minutes? Like back in the day.
Back in the day, 100%. Mine would be Instagram, though. Like
or
I said,
email
I like
or...
email. No, like I said, I'm more picture. So for me, I really got into Instagram. That was my favorite.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, I was just, the other day, I was thinking about why is it that we do that? Why do we pick up our phone to look at the time? Forget even to look at the time. I have, in the past, I kid you not, I have picked up my phone to look at the time and had to do it again like several times because I keep forgetting to actually look at the time because I get distracted with all these other
whatever is on it. Yeah.
Right. Like, so why do you think we do that? Why do you think people do that?
I think part of it is because we've had phones long enough. That's what you would actually do. And watches are less and less. Well, then now there's like smartwatches.
No, I'm not talking about checking the time. I'm not why do you check your time on your phone?
Hold on, I'm building.
It sounded like you didn't understand the question.
No.
It's because we used to wear watches on our wrists. And now we have the time on our telephones.
I hate sitting on the couch. Okay. Because, we would use the phone, check time. Well, then as smartphones have developed, you pick it up and you're like, oh, okay. And I think it's just out of habit, that's been created over years of having access to smartphones. So at first, you would pick up a phone, especially like a flip one or whatever. Okay, that's the time. If you didn't wear watches. Well, then as smartphones developed, you're like, oh. And you start like scrolling. That's what I'm saying is learned behavior. I think that's why.
Yeah, because you're so used to like flipping up your screen.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's really funny because my 1-year-old nephew, our 1-year-old nephew, he, even though he doesn't know how to use a phone, he knows how to thumb up to make it move. Mm-hmm. And he's always like, if you're holding him when you have your phone, he's always trying to make the screen move and he knows how to thumb up already.
Do you remember when we were in, I think it was Ireland, and there was a big screen that Lydia walked up to and she tried to swipe it?
It doesn't surprise me.
Do you remember? Because we had an iPad at the time, but then it was like this big advertisement that was in the shape of an iPad. And so she goes, puts her, hand on the glass and like tries to swipe. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. This is one of the many resources we make available for free at our website, cultivaterelationships.com. Our resources have helped people grow in their relationship with God and others. We've seen people set free from uncontrollable anger and paralyzing fear. We've witnessed estranged family members be reunited after working through our Freedom Booklet. We've helped people build healthy relationship and coping habits through our coaching videos. And all of these resources are made available for free because of the generous support of people like you. If you would like to become a partner, please visit cultivaterelationships.com/support. Now, I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode.
This is so embarrassing. If somebody hands you their phone to look at something on Facebook and you try to swipe up on their feed or Instagram or any of those sites, when you try to start looking, because of that behavior.
That's mine.
Yeah, exactly. Like, can you please not? Or if you're sitting next to someone and their phone, you immediately start reading the text because you're just so, I don't know, like that conditioning is such a big part of the wiring of our brain now. And I think about that for us who weren't, who are kind of older when we started experiencing that. I mean, even the tech we had when we were younger was pretty basic.
Yeah.
Because, the first iPhone didn't come out, what was it, mid-2000s?
It wasn't it when you and I were in Bible school?
I don't know.
Or was it later?
Later. I think it was like 2005-ish.
Yeah.
But anyway, so even that modern concept of swiping and all of that is just so it's a learn for us, but for some of these kids it's so instinctual, just that whole concept of this tech being in their lives. And Nathan and I actually was reading this article
2007
yesterday.
January.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was reading this article, I think it was yesterday or the day before, about young kids. We're talking preteens, early teens, who have access to smartphones. And, this information was just, a lot of it was released, which we've kind of known for a while, but publicly released by Instagram and all of them, about how it impacts specifically young girls. And so reading this article, this mom was talking about how her 14-year-old was so obsessed with her phone that she would literally just crawl into her bed and lay in the fetal position crying if no one commented or texted her back, because she needed that interaction so badly. Like, she'd become so addicted to it. And everybody nowadays, their life is so intertwined. I think what you're talking about with the habitual being online all the time, and also mentally trying to be engaged in, like I was talking about with you, wanting that non-commitment relationship, kind of that non-commitment interaction. Like, we're so engaged in our brains in that way.
Right.
And it's creating in these teens obsessive like behavior.
Yeah.
Where they don't know how to live without it. Like, they've never lived in a world without it, so they don't know how.
Well, even beyond that, do you remember when, was it a month or so ago, was it Facebook went down? And so businesses that didn't have websites, they were all like social media driven.
Well, yeah,
they were all down.
Yeah.
See, that's crazy to me, to only be on social media and not have a landing page.
I get it, though, because if you're somebody who doesn't have any tech skills, and it's really easy just to make a Facebook site, or if your entire business is being sold on, like, Instagram, like people's entire business sometimes is on Instagram, those little shops and stuff.
Yeah, but it's connected to, like, something like Shopify. And, even that, I don't know.
But
to me, it doesn't make sense to have all your eggs in one basket.
I know, but I don't think people realize that's what that was until that happened.
I still don't think
I think
understand.
that connection,
yeah.
This is just one avenue where I should have multiple. And I think the lesson was taught. And
maybe.
People lost quite a bit of revenue on that day.
Yeah.
But, so we're reading this article, and which is really, I'm paying attention to that because we have an 11-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old daughter. She'll be 14 in March, and we are very much anti smartphones for them. We have a really old iPad that they can call out from, or
nearly obsolete.
They can call us from if we're away. But the idea of them having access to just text their friends whenever they want, they can on my phone, but it's all monitored through me. And even the short amount of time they do get access, and they don't have social media sites, but the short amount of time they do get access to even texting, they become kind of psychos about it. Yeah. And
and our one daughter will be like, did she text me back? Did she text me back?
Constantly. Yeah. But it's like something that it's a real discussion we're having to have, outweighing the benefits versus the what are they called?
Pros and cons?
Pros and cons. What is that?
That was Jimmy Fallon. Pros and cons.
Yeah. So sometimes I wonder if something like that pops into my head and the source is going to be inappropriate. I'm going to be so embarrassed. Like, oh no.
be like, hey, what was that from? Nope.
Yeah, exactly. Abandoned ship. So, weighing that out, and I've explained to my kids, some kids have phones because they have families that they're going to their mom's house, they're going to their dad's house, they need to be getting access or whatever it is. Like, each family has to make their own decision. But I think what we're starting to really evaluate now is more than just, is this convenient or is this helpful? Is this mentally safe?
Yeah.
How are we wiring our brains? And I think that our generation in particular has a unique voice in that because we can be real with ourselves. Like we can look at our, that whole, part in your phone that gives you the breakdown of how much you've been on your screen. Yeah. The screen time is really, if we're really honest with ourselves, we're like, wow, I need to be better about that. And not just, I need to not be on my phone, but asking ourselves why we are. Why we are so much. Like when we have a spare moment in a waiting room or when we're sitting at a restaurant and someone goes to the bathroom, why do we feel the need to engage with our phone? And why is that? And I think that is more the key to figuring out how our brains are connected to technology so we can help our kids more than saying, I need to do this less.
I think, so I know for myself, and this is one of the reasons, and I said it on here before, but, that feeling of importance, whether it's texting, whether it's Facebook, a message, Instagram, a DM, whatever. For me, it was feeling important. And so even with our, things that we would post, I would just simply, the reason I would constantly check it is to see, did anyone else like it?
Right.
Did anyone else,
Which we decided to take Cultivate off of social media, active social media. We still have placeholders, but to really engage in that, that field, like field's the wrong word, but, market.
Yeah.
I guess.
Virtual community.
Was a year ago?
Last October.
Yeah. And I want you to talk about that, like why you felt like we should do that.
So it started with the launch of Unlove. I was ramping up a promotion for our book that we were publishing, and so I was like, ooh, good, social media, fast and easy way to promote something, right? And then very explicitly, very obviously, God was like, no, I don't want you to go on social media, or I don't want you to do that. I want you to take 30 days off. And so it started with 30 days. And then after that, like the whole thing for me, and I would maybe throw a few hints towards your way, but I know specifically it was for me because I was so obsessed with analytics. I was so obsessed with our ministries failing. Look at all these other ministries that have so many more followers and likes. And so it was one of those, I knew what God was calling us to do. And I was getting discouraged from doing that because this other virtual community I viewed as more important, more people, more, engagement. So for me, it was like my own kind of cliche mental health, but also listening to God and trusting what he was saying. And then there came a point in that within a few months of where I told Lace, I'm like, hey, I don't think we're supposed to do our life videos anymore. The ones we would post on
YouTubers.
And that one was just it. The majority of decisions I make, I only have feelings. Like, I really feel like we got to stop doing this. And then, and then with that, our girls were getting obsessed with these other YouTube families and stuff, and
they were really bad for a season there. So
part of it may have been influence from that. I know specifically part of it was God just simply saying, you guys need to stop doing those. And so I won't say like we went cold turkey, like overnight. There was these kind of levels that we started pulling back and focusing more on our email and our own website for posting things.
Right. And then this podcast is more of our social media. It's our current engagement with people more than a teaching or anything that we're producing that way. It's breezy.
It's breezy.
Yeah, so, back to what you were saying about the girls getting obsessed with YouTube, I was looking at it for a while there, like, well, I watched TV when I was little, and this is just a new TV. And it's not like they had free access to YouTube. I mean, I was trying to monitor who they were following. And
More than the content, here's what was interesting. More than the content of these families that they would follow, it was the obsession that they were building with someone they had never met.
Is that what got it for you?
That's what got it for me. I'm like, you have no idea who these people are. You
Right.
genuinely have no idea. And do you remember when we drove through, was it Memphis or Nashville? Ari's like, this one family lives here.
Nashville.
Yeah. And I'm like,
It was the
you don't.
tic-tac toy
Yeah.
tac
I'm like,
people.
you don't even know them.
I know. She was really hoping to see him like standing on the street
Yeah.
corner. But I guess I was looking at it as I was obsessed with JTT, like Jonathan Taylor Thomas, when
Yeah, but you don't follow him every day.
No, but I used to get those like Teen Beat magazines.
Sure.
Well, I didn't get them. I would once in a while. Like one of my rich friends would have one, like, and you could like look
But what
at
I'm
it or
saying
get it from
is-
the library. Remember, we could get you can still get magazines from the library, but back then we actually used to check them out.
No, but like with that, what, maybe once a month you would get a new magazine?
I wouldn't get them. I told you that.
Sorry, you would have access to a new magazine? With our girls, with
No,
these
it was
people-
constant. It was constant. And with that, I kept finding that even though I'd approve certain people, I'd sit there and watch it with them to see, kind of what they're about. They would get, because of the algorithms and how they draw you into more videos, they would start following and watching other videos I hadn't given them
Right.
access. I had
'Cause it was
decided
so
not to.
easy.
It was so easy. So, and just, some of the attitudes that they were developing, watching it, I was like, okay, well,
And even some of the attitudes that I noticed with our girls when we were videoing and doing our
right.
Cultivate life.
Oh, Ari, okay, so now they will do their own vlogs. It's really funny. They have this old, like, Vivitar camera that's like, or Canon. It's probably Canon. I remember Vivitar from my days. But it's this camera that they will record their own closed circuit, which means they don't go anywhere, they don't get uploaded, but they'll still do vlogs. And Ari has this vlog voice. She's like, okay guys, and if you go back and listen to her podcast, she's really confident, because she practices almost every day. They make like slime vlogs, and they make surprise vlogs, and they know how to even pretend situations, like they're not even real situations, but they act like they're real. But back to, okay, so I'm thinking, about how we're having new technology, we're having new avenues to engage with this technology, we're having new creators, because the ability to become famous or popular is crazy different than it used to be. And I think we have to move with that, right? Like we have to move, we can't just stay stuck. And I want to hold that intention with taking care of our mental health, as well as being cautious as to what we're engaging with. Like, and I guess mental health really involves it all, because we have the idea that social media is that you can have thousands of friends and be interacting with them all the time. That you can be constantly taking in all these podcasts, all these YouTubers, that you can constantly be taking in all this information and engaging with this audience and just all this information constantly. We have that we're really evaluating. Is that good? Is that not good? How much is good? How much is not good? How much is good for our kids? And I think as a society, we're all figuring that out together. And then on the other hand, you have this really positive idea that technology is good. I mean, I'd sent Nathan an article I read that was fascinating about how the printing press changed the world, how Gutenberg's printing press changed the world. And what I'm looking at that going, what that did for literacy. I mean, this article was going through what it did for the ability for your common person to have access to information was just astronomical.
Right.
That before that, the idea of knowing what was going on news-wise wasn't really an option. The accuracy in in sending information beyond you. So scientists, people that they'd said it always had been like a one-man show, and then after the printing press, it was able to be accurately kept, so other people could build upon those ideas, right? And so that created such exponential growth. One of the huge ways Martin Luther, the big story of him nailing his thesis, I mean, that's dramatic and great, but the reality was they were able to print it and get it out there. Whereas before then, the church was able just to quash anybody else that came up against them, where the printing press gave so much power to information being released into the general public. So all of those things were not bad. And it was what we're talking about now, the acceleration and the growth of information to people. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's very similar concept. So what's your thoughts on that?
I think the difference is kind of as you're talking, a few thoughts came to my mind. I think you need to draw the separation between, so there's technology, which is all encompassing, all of the avenues, right? And then you have social media, which this is going somewhere, so bear with me.
Okay.
You have social media, which even the designers of social media platforms do not allow their kids to be on it, which to me is huge. Like, you see interviews with all the founders, Facebook, to all the technical engineers behind it all. It's fascinating because they don't let their kids. They're like, oh yeah, no, never. So that shows something. 2, they're free, which means you're the product, not the thing you're taking in.
I think that's the biggest thing that...
Wait, hold on.
Oh,
let me finish
sorry.
my thought. So 2, that's the other thing, like you were saying. It's just this access to more, like with our girls. They're watch one and then algorithms, boom, pop up something else, boom, consume. That means you're the product, not the thing you're actually consuming. So the difference I would say from like the printing press to modern is I would look at things like Ustream. What's the educational one that Curiosity Stream.
Scream. It's a different channel.
Curiosity Stream is one. Those platforms where you have to purchase and only certain things are on those platforms, like educational stuff like that, to me is intentional in what that platform is for. Does that make sense? So that's where I would look at it as, me as a human, if I have to be more intentional in what I'm like trying to get that access, which would be very similar to like the printing press. You have to be intentional in, number 1, printing, but number 2, finding what you're printing. Whereas I think social media it can't even be compared to the town squares, because you have access to so many more voices than even a town square would have. And even a town square, the things that were important in the town square were important to your community.
Well, and I think in the town square, if someone pipes up and it's Crazy Lou, you're like, that's just Crazy Lou. You don't have to pay attention to him. Whereas now, it's like, is that Crazy Lou?
No, but do you see what I'm saying?
Is that Grandma? Who is that?
But do you see what I'm saying? That it on social media, people can be out there influencing whoever, wherever, with whatever content that has no actual value to my life. In the town square.
Right, and that's, okay, so throwing, I guess, because I'm getting confused by the town square analogy.
Because that's what
I know
Twitter,
that's what they
that's
said.
what they
I know that's
say.
what they said, but I
Yeah.
guess I'm talking about for you and me personally. I'm not talking about the bigger
Oh, got
political
it. Okay.
picture.
Okay.
So
I see what you're saying.
So I guess okay. So here's all the real problems.
Ask me a better question.
Hold on. Here's some very real problems with social media and the internet. Okay. So we have comparison. You have that Instagram study showing that teenage girls that are higher risk for suicide or self-harm, right?
Yep, yep.
You have data mining. It's a huge deal.
Yep.
Okay. That,
See, you're going global, though.
hold on.
My answers were global.
Privacy breaching with that, like not, I mean, the ads, man, the ads.
Yeah.
Free speech violations with the censors coming in and saying, you know, it's hate speech or that's, what were you telling me that the Heart Association was canceled? You don't have to go into the story, but
American Heart Association was.
okay. And then also what we were talking about with the algorithms
Yeah.
on social media with behavior control, like how that influences your behavior, and they know how to influence your behavior because of data mining. Okay.
Right.
All of that we're going to throw out because we all know that.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about that.
You know what's funny? Hold on. I don't think everyone knows that.
I think people are getting an idea.
They're getting an idea, but I'm shocked at how many people, when I say, "Oh yeah, I saw you didn't open my email,"
Well, it's kind of like
they're like, "What?"
it's kind of like Alexa, right? Like just that whole concept has always been like, I don't know about that. But I mean, not to go crazy conspiracy right now, but basically to say that there is actual things that we have sold for access to these free quotation mark programs, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the concept we're all having to face right now. How many years into this? 10, 15 years into all of this,
Right.
where it's been studying us for that long.
Right.
Okay, so we're not going to focus on that. We are going to focus on how basically all the information coming at us all the time, how overwhelming that can be, and how we create space in our life so that we can live in such a way where we don't feel constantly pressured by continual input.
Yeah.
So we have our phones, we have our emails, we have information online that we feel like we need to know all of. We have social media where we want to keep up on all 1,000 friends that we've made.
Hold on. I want to speak into that. So you look at, I think, I don't even know where to begin with this, but it's the idea that we were not designed to be in community with more than about 100 people.
I
like,
think that's
that is
even pretty high.
that I'm saying that's high. That's the highest. But what I mean is that is not how our brains were designed. You look at even, Jesus, he had these, one or two offs with 5,000 people, 10,000 people, but the majority of his group, roughly 72, I think it was, 60 something.
And 12 close.
And 12, and
Really
then,
close.
and then 3 extremely close. But I think that's the other issue with Facebook, with these social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, is they're designed for more influence than what your brain was actually, what your brain is capable of sifting through and managing.
And that's what I want to talk about, is how we are trying to do something that's pretty unnatural to our abilities as people. Or even if we feel like we're handling it well, that it's rewiring how we're interacting with the world. And is that even a good thing?
And it's not, here's the deal though, it's rewiring it worse. Like well, yes.
That's the question. Is it a good thing that you are, I made that a question and you kind of turned it into a statement.
No, it's bad. It's bad. Like that.
But why is it bad? I mean, you're stating these things so emphatically, but we're having a breezy conversation, and I feel like you're having a thesis.
It's bad because you look at the anxiety like all of the studies coming out dealing with anxiety, dealing with mental health as a result of all of these influences coming into our brain. And people are not feeling more connected. They're feeling more disconnected. They're feeling more anxious. Why are we addicted to social media? It's because that'll be my fix. That'll be the thing. And then, okay, when phones are taken away, like when someone is put into a mental hospital, they don't have access to phones, they go even more crazy because they're like, I need
Is that just a story you made up?
No. It's in study. It was in the so there's the one article you had sent me, and then there's some other stuff that I've been looking at dealing with like Facebook. The other one was the documentary we watched dealing with just that addiction.
Right, and I'm not arguing with you. I guess what.
So what I mean by like what I'm saying with all of that, and yes, I'm being emphatic because we have deluded ourselves so well that we're good at multitasking, we're good at dealing with all of these things when we're not. Our brains are not designed to do it.
Well, and I think even when our brains are desperately crying out for the space, when our brains are desperately crying out for space, or when our day gives us that space, we're filling it with picking up our phone and doing tasks, or getting lost online, or answering an email, or texting someone back, or engaging with some random person over something we have an opinion on, instead of giving ourselves that space.
Well,
right? Like, we're not even allowing ourselves space when we actually have it, because we feel that need. We don't know how to be with ourselves.
It's that, and we don't know how to be with our loved ones. So the other people that are screaming out is our loved ones, those closest to us, not loved ones on a screen,
right?
Actual loved ones who are near us. And that's the other thing is our brains are so chaotic because we're not actually dealing with anything. We're masking all of the things that I'm just so frustrated.
I know you are. You're taking a soapbox. You're taking a soapbox stand, and I was really hoping for this to be more of a could you consider?
No,
would you think about? And you're going full soapbox
because it's so frustrating. I mean, I think it's frustrating. Here's why. Number one, I look at my daughter and the anxiety that she struggles with, and it's frustrating to me. Not on her side, but because of all of the voices that are speaking into that. And then you and we run a relationship ministry. That's what we do. Well, so we are face to face with people who struggle with deep anxiety. And it's like, okay, you know what? Sometimes you got to pull back on this. Have you tried this? Well, no, I need this. And it's like, So yes, I am taking an emphatic stance because I am tired of it. Not tired dealing with it with other people, but tired of the effect that I am seeing it have on people.
More relational effect, yes. You remember that book I read? It was called something with MySpace. It was back in 2008.
I've been with you 17 years. You made me a passionate person. This is your fault. I was a docile teddy bear when I met you.
You were raging on the inside.
I know.
Okay, so it was this book, and it was when MySpace first came out, and it was this sociologist, and she was talking about the effect that had on our brain, even back then with MySpace. Okay, so and what she outlined is the idea that our relationships were going through this process in which we were connecting with people based on social bridging rather than actual relationship. And so the social bridging is, hey, you and I both like the same musician, therefore we are connected. And so it's this false idea of intimacy. Well, then we have it's
single-dimensional intimacy.
Right. Okay. So you have a bunch of years that go by, and that idea of just has grown even more intense. That the social bridging, this idea of relationship, has been really relegated to really shallow concepts, as well as not accountability. Like I was talking about earlier, I want interaction without any kind of commitment.
Right.
And so it's really this false intimacy that we think that we are benefiting from, but when in actuality it's isolating us.
I would even go further. I would even go a step further. It's a false sense of, like, for those, even those who aren't looking for intimacy, but looking to be right on subjects, it's a false conversation because you're not able to look someone in the eyes and say, hey, here's my thought, here's my opinion, what's your opinion, and see how that affects each other. It's these monologues on.
And more than looking somebody in the eye, it's if I'm sitting down with a friend and they're telling me their opinion on something, I'm gonna listen to them for a few reasons, and I'm going to actually desire to hear their opinion more than just letting my voice be heard. You know, like if someone's a friend of mine, I care about them outside of their opinion on something, whether it's a political issue or, you know, whatever it is. I care about them as a person, and I have grace for them because I know them. Whereas if you don't know that person, you don't have any grace for them. You don't care. You just want to tell them they're wrong and move along. And I think
it goes back to your social bridging because they're not a part of the single dimension that I'm in. My single dimension is conservative Christian. They're not a conservative Christian. So I'm going to have my checklist of defenses and reasons why they're wrong because they're not in my social bridge of conservative Christian.
Okay. So we've established there's problems, right?
I don't know.
So here's the
you just
question.
made me angsty now all day.
So how do we find center again with our time and attentions? So as Christians, what do we use to anchor us? What do we use as a roadmap to bring us back to a place of not just, well, I want to spend more time on less time on my phone, but what is really our anchor as we move forward? Because we're only going to have more tech in our life. So what do we use to almost anchor us down to a place of health, mentally, relationally, all of those things, so that we can live healthy, full lives and still acknowledge the fact that we live in a tech-filled world, and that's not going away.
I think you have to okay. My gut reaction to that question is, first of all, get off social media and pay attention to those close to you. No, like I said, that's my you know. Right. But genuinely, what you have to do as an individual is ask God what His desire is for you. And I don't mean, excuse me. You have to. It is a. It's easy to use the excuse, yeah, but I found this one Christian song on social media, or I found this one Bible verse on social media, or I found this, whatever it is. But seeking genuine intimacy. If I only had a Facebook relationship with you, our relationship would only be the things that I have compiled to show you the best parts of me.
Right.
Real relationship takes time. Yeah. And so I think with that, and what I mean, like, my gut reaction is get off social media. Just honestly, just take a break. Take a 7-day break to seek out God. Not to, here's the deal. You think of any habit. Right, you do have to break the habit. I understand that. I think what I'm thinking of is, I think being realistic with yourself that you can't have a relationship with a few thousand people. Even Facebook or Instagram or any of those social media people know that, and that's why the algorithms are set so you see the same few people over and over again so that you actually interact. Because if you just saw your feed was filled with all your 1,000 friends, it would be too. They know that it wouldn't engage you as much. But also know the algorithm is going to push you towards people who are more popular.
Okay.
That is what the algorithm's doing. It's always going to be putting in front of you people who have more influence.
Okay.
It's not a genuine, like, oh, these are the 4 people.
No, I'm not saying that it is, because I get random people that would pop up there. But I guess what I'm trying to communicate is, the idea of leave for 7 days and evaluate. I think that's good. But I think also being able to think about when we get overwhelmed with relationship, when we get stressed out by information input, by people needing us, what is it that, so what is it Jesus modeled? When he was in the crowds, when he was feeding the 5,000, when he was doing all that stuff, he modeled going away, spending time with the Father, praying, seeking his voice. And then the other thing Jesus did is he was led all the time by the will of the Father. And I think that, we have this ministry, this small ministry that actually would benefit from social media. But upon asking the Lord, we felt like we should not engage in certain areas of it. There's other people that are really have wide-reaching audiences who feel like they need to stay in those platforms to be able to have a voice and be a presence there, which is good as well. And so I don't think it's as simple as just get off everything.
No. And that's, so I guess what I was talking through was like a first step. Take a moment,
minute,
take a minute, step off just to hear from God. That's what the reasoning was. Hear from God. You're exactly right. Our ministry, we know specifically that God has asked us to stay off. Other ministries have been, God's told them to stay on. This is your influence. This is your, but all of that has to be done not on social media, not taking a popular poll or a quiz. It's going, God, in your alone time with you and him, with a physical Bible and you just being quiet with maybe worship music. God, what's your desire? What's your plan? But with that, you also have to be recognizing where is it you're struggling. Because if you struggle with people's approval, if you struggle feeling less than about yourself, if you struggle not feeling important, or you struggle with, well, what if I do get off social media, what will this person think of me? Then you can't make... Right. You cannot make spirit-led decisions if you're worried about what other people will say, think, or do because of your on or off social media. Because if you're scared of what people will do, well, God's telling me to be on social media. Well, then you're going to have voices going, well, I don't know. I think you need to be off, like I do. Right? But then if others are like, hey, I think you need to be on, and you're like, I feel like God's telling me to get off. Well, no, that's you have a voice. I really like your posts. That one post that you did about that one Bible verse really changed the outlook of my day that one time. Well, then I should probably stay on and keep doing that. No. What is it God is asking you to do? And that's what I'm saying, to take a season to pull back.
Right. And with that also, we were talking about the idea of parenting this tech generation. One of the questions I'm always asking myself, and I'm not going to lie to you, it is a struggle within myself. I am trying to be active and reflective and honest about is what am I modeling to them? How am I modeling my behavior with technology? Because really, whether or not they have access to phones, they're going to remember and they're going to reflect what they learned. And like I was telling you earlier, I don't believe tech is bad, but I do notice, this is something I've really thought a lot about, is I used to read all the time. All my spare minutes, I would be reading a book. So if I was like eating food alone, or if I was in the car alone or whatever, I would have a book with me and I'd be reading it. And in the last years, I've not been that way because I have my phone with me and it's just easier to hop on social media, or it's easier to text somebody back or read an email or do something like that, right? And so you look at your screen time and you're like, oh my gosh, how did I get all those hours in my day that I was doing that? And the reality is that we do have more time than we think we do. We've just been kind of giving it away to these thoughtless habits. And I think that instead of doing things that refresh us, we're doing things that are causing more anxiety, more information overload, more feelings of inadequacy, or feeling, left out, whatever the feelings are that it's bringing. Instead of using those moments to capture back our day in other ways, we're just letting them go to these other things.
Yeah. Well, and I would say for myself, so this is my own experience, my own story, is since getting off social media. Like I think I've said, my the area the enemy tends to tempt me with is feeling unimportant or not valuable. And so getting off social media, I no longer have those voices in my head, like, well, that ministry is bigger than yours. That one has more influence than yours. That one has more followers than yours. Now, I'm able to deal with actual conflict that I have, right? Like, you and I were talking the other day about there's certain things that I still struggle with of either this person or feeling devalued over here or with this, but it's actually people in my life, things that I don't want to say that I have control over, but like actual impact on, where it's like, okay, I'm actually able to deal with those relationships now rather than add on top of that my personal relationships with all of the other voices coming into my brain, with all of these other feeds that come in with Instagram, social, all of that. I'm actually able to deal with those issues. And I think that's the other thing is we get overwhelmed by social media. We get overwhelmed by what we think. And I think you said it, these things that have a semblance of peace attached to them, like checking out, like what you said.
Right.
But it's not. It's
not
only
peace.
adding. It's only adding
that's
to the
my
noise.
point, is that instead of getting peace when we can get peace, we get more chaos.
Right.
And that we have to be intentional about grabbing those moments of peace through our day. And I'm not dictating what you're doing with those moments of peace, but I am saying that engaging in more information might not be the most healthy thing.
No, in fact, more information is just going to clutter so much more. Just take
soapbox. Peace. This is cool jams. Cool jams.
Take 10 seconds to look around and how much anxiety is going on in our world today. Going on in your community, going on in whatever, your family, and look at the anxiety and just do a quick, what is it called? Not an analysis, a quick,
You made it. I lost it as well.
You know what I'm saying though?
Intake
form? I don't know. Anyways, and just see. Okay, what is our family struggling with? Why is our daughter able to cope a week ago, but then today is not able to cope, or whatever it is for you? And recognize you have just in your natural day, in your natural schedule, things that will cause stress, things that will cause anxiety. I feel like it's overused. But anyways, things that have pressure on your family. Now, add on to that, anytime you want to have peace, you don't actually deal with those things. You just check out in other areas of getting more information. And that is what I'm saying with, if you want peace in your mind, if you want peace in your relationships, if you want peace in your family, you have to deal with things.
And you have to be intentional.
That's what I mean. You have to deal with it. You have to be intentional with it. You have to actually talk and have conversations.
And I do think that all of the free quotation mark stuff we're getting nowadays, we need to not be naive that it does cost something, and what is it costing us? I mean, even back in the day when we were setting up our ministry, we had to decide what social media networks we were actually going to be on, because it costs more time, right? Every time you commit to one, you're spending that much more time engaging with it. Yeah. And so I guess there's more ways than just data mining that this new tech is costing us something, even though it's saying it's free. What is it costing us?
When it's, oh my goodness, okay.
Don't go into a tirade. We need to wrap this up.
I know. This subject bugs me so much.
I guess one last question. Why does it bug you so much?
Here's why. Like I said, I struggled with it. Trust me, I struggled with it like a year ago when we had started getting off. And I was really upset with God about getting off before our launch. Well, yeah, because
you're launching your book.
Yeah.
Right?
But in the year of getting, like you were saying, of removing myself from that access, number one, the biggest key that I've seen in my life is I'm able to be present with my immediate relationships. I'm able to be present. I'm not looking for a photo or looking for an opportunity to be able to post online.
Yeah.
I'm able to actually sit down with my daughter and play stupid games or draw or whatever we do and just have fun with her.
Right.
And not just like worried about, oh no, am I going to get a post for today? Am I going to get a photo for today? Whatever it is, right? Again, just that constant anxiety. And I think the freedom that I've experienced in that's what I want for others. And it goes back to the things that we see people genuinely struggling with, and there's really simple things that will start to undermine the stress you're feeling.
Undermine?
Yeah, like undermine stress.
I guess it's two negatives.
Does that make sense though? Like
that would alleviate the stress.
Alleviate, yeah. To alleviate some stress. And it's frustrating to see. I think it's frustrating to see that not taking place.
Yeah.
But again.
But like I said, it takes a conscious effort.
Yeah.
A really small example is I actually don't like videoing everything, even if it's a special moment, because I want to be engaged in the moment.
That's exactly what I mean.
Right.
Not looking for hey, this was fun.
You might not have that memory saved forever, but is it really a memory if you're not living
there.
it yourself? Yeah. Is it really valuable?
It's why when we would take family vacations, we would be so upset at you because you had your camera. This is when you were doing photography.
I had my photography business.
But it's the same idea. It's like, hey, be here. Stop taking my photo and actually go swim with me.
I feel like I deserve a pass because I was trying to run a photography business.
That God didn't ask you to run.
Hey, that is not time nor place.
This is neither.
Oh my gosh, neither here nor there.
Anyways.
Yeah.
I'm done.
You feel
I'm not done. I can say so many more things.
Feel happy with all the words?
No, I have so many more words.
Okay, so we're going to just tune him out. And what I want to leave you with is just the idea that we should not let technology happen to us. I think that if we do that, then we are not doing our kids a service, especially if you're around Nathan and my age, because you have the gift of not always having it in your life.
Yeah.
So being able to help our kids navigate this world and not put them in a cardboard box, away from everything, but being able to teach them how to have wisdom so things don't have to just happen to them. Because the idea that we're raising a generation that can't cope without getting a text back immediately, that's not healthy. That's not good. And I think for us to lead them out of that, we have to be honest with ourselves first.
Yeah.
Are we engaging in our environment? Because we're asking them to do something we're not willing to do. I mean, they're taking it to the extreme.
Yeah.
But I mean, in some ways, I know I do it when I'm just overwhelmed and want to get away. That's my method of escape.
Right.
And so I think just going into this, realizing that we have to be wise and that we have to be honest with ourselves if we're going to be to find healthy balance in this technological world. So that's it. That's my
and I would say one last thing I do want to say is no. You have to know that you are absolutely loved and accepted by a living God who has nothing but good for you. And if you're trying to get that acceptance or that love or that attention anywhere else, it's always going to leave you feeling less than, and you're going to have to do more and be more for people than what God expects of you and what you can actually handle yourself. And so I think that's the heart all of this comes out of is...
Yeah, we want you to have real relationship, and we want our kids to have real relationship. We don't just want social bridges in their life. We want them to actually engage in good, healthy, deep relationship, and we want that for ourselves as well. And so what is keeping that from us?
Right.
So.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening to me rant.
He's gonna have to go take a walk, I think.
Go do something. Yeah. All right. Goodbye.